It's time for Cutting Edge Consciousness with Freeman Michaels and Barnett Bain. Thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
And welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Freeman Michaels here with Barnett Bain. Just got done talking to our friend Lisa Garr. Amazing work she's done. She is clearly a pioneer. For us, she blazed a trail.
She was in the covered wagons.
She was in the covered wagons.
She went west.
That's right.
And when there was no roads or consciousness.
Yeah, she built the roads that brought us to where we are.
That's right.
So it's so great because one of the things that came through for me is that she trusted in what she was doing. I mean, she stayed true to herself in spite of evidence that she'd be better off doing a strip show. That's a joke. But it isn't, because here's the deal. That, you know, many of us, and I'm going to raise my hand here, want to be liked. We want it to work. We try to fit it in. It's very hard artistically to stick with something, even if part of us knows this is really it. This is what I want to be doing. And we've had that challenge. I mean, we've tried to figure out ways and how do we craft this differently. But the wiser part of us for 2.5 years.
How do we get new sponsors for anybody that's listening that feels compelled instantly to call in? And
yeah, we're constantly looking for sponsors. Yep. That's a huge issue for us because it's the backbone of being able to continue to do it. But the point being, enough of us has known that this form of expression works, at least for me. And it's had a tremendous impact on my life, the sticking with it for 2.5 years. It's not just true of the work, it's true of our relationship, it's true of all these things. And here's where I want to tie it together. The intention for me, the field that intention creates, can hold everything. My work is to trust it, to trust the generous and generative intention, the quality of how I want to show up and what I want to offer in the world. It's the strength of that, the degree to which that I feed that, is strong enough to hold a lot of the bumpiness. And the bumpiness provides a kind of depth and a kind of dimension to the experience that makes it rich, that makes it soulful. Was that English? I don't know. I mean,
no,
I hope you understood what I was trying to say.
It was English. And
you just kind of looked at me like, what did you say?
Well, I was looking at you because what it brought up for me is the degree to which I am absolutely in alignment with that. And then I asked myself, is that what's there for me? Is my work trusting it? And my work is certainly partially trusting it.
Yep.
But then I thought, well, what is real? How really do I? And it's per everyone. There is no right or wrong answer here, folks. This is a totally individual thing. Is that my relationship with mystery?
Yeah.
And I think my relationship with mystery is to learn to consciously dance with it, to learn how to consciously create success. And I have a very specific definition of success that has to do with fully being appreciative and fully being alive and fully being connected to what is going on, and sucking the juicy marrow out of moments and looking to see mirrored the gorgeous charms of my reality and owning them as not being separate from me. That I have to be that in order to see that. So that is how I am holding my work in life.
I think we're saying the same thing.
Oh, we
I don't
are.
think we have to be exactly saying the same thing. But look, there's a sense, I call it the scent of destiny. There's a sense that there's something I have to give in the world. I don't know exactly what it is. I know qualities that are associated with it. I know some of the expressions, various things I've done in my life.
You're talking about the function as opposed to, you're not aware of the form of it.
I have
you're aware of the
I had a few forms, a few ways that it's taken form that I can kind of point to and say, wow, there's qualities in that experience that really work for me.
Well, you just have to look backwards and you'll see a whole bunch of them, because your function hasn't changed enormously, although it has become tuned in. A lot of the static and a lot of the other stations have been tuned out. We're increasingly becoming more attuned to it.
Well, this is where the boundaries conversation comes in, is that I've become clear enough, at least in terms of the qualities I want to express. The form, again, my work is to kind of let go of the forms. I mean, not entirely, because, obviously this is a form, but it's not the only form. It's the quality and the experience that I'm really juiced by, and finding other ways to express that. We spoke about the birth 2012. I had the opportunity to sit with Lisa, have a wonderful conversation. Jack Canfield jumped in, and Rinaldo Brudico jumped in, and other folks as well. It was really magical and fun. That was another expression. You and I did a lot of work there on there. What was our stage called again? I don't remember, but we were on a specific stage, the vision stage. And that was a blast doing that. Well, there's another form. It's not exactly, I didn't know how it was going to look, but we jumped in. Trusting that the intention, the organizing force of the universe or my universe or whatever, about what I want to generate, what are the qualities. You said something brilliant during that time to me too. Here's a little snapshot into the deeper thread about the boundaries. I was in makeup and you came in. And you said, you looked to me in the eye, you said, "You okay?" I said, "I'm okay." And then I started rambling into all the things I thought we needed to do. And you said, "Stop. We just do our show." Did I say it like that? No, in a loving way.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. You said, "Stop, Freeman. We just do our work. Freeman, you're okay. We just do our work." Because what I was hearing from, was the part of me that wanted to get it right. We were under pressure. There were time constraints. I was wearing another hat too, which was I was producing the show, the stage. I was producing the whole lineup. But it was so powerful because I had to ground in the intention, ground in what do we know. And it was so easy to get distracted in that moment, which I was. And you brought me back, which is partly our job, was we help each other connect back to, wait, what's the intention here? What are we really up to? We're getting distracted. That's what I think the boundaries represent. So those represent ways that we keep coming back to, as you were sort of putting it, the focus here.
Well, I love that. What comes up for me is a picture of the round table, this sort of Arthurian round table, and the qualities of these partners of the night's round. And they all come to together as peers, and they're all expressions of a particular archetypal energy. There's this civility. What is it to be? What is it to bring civility into the mix, and what is it to bring gallantry into the mix? To be able to say, "Well, Freeman, I respect where you're coming from, and we can also gallantly honor our own great work and our own style with which we approach it, and that's the trust piece, and we'll drop into a relationship with that, and we'll see what emerges." So there's the gallantry, and then there's the humility of, even though I said that, I could get off it the next second,
right?
Or sometimes it takes me longer than that, and sometimes I'm stubborn and obstinate. But there is no knight at the round table who is stubborn and obstinate. There is no.
They might be, but the intention.
But that's not what they're bringing.
Right.
They're not invited to the table because of their obstinacy.
And the intention, which that table represents, what's in the middle of that table is a positive intent. It's a very generative intent. And what it does is it organizes everything. And it's big enough as a field of energy to hold all these various archetypes. And they go from being potentially destructive, and they can be, to constructive and complementary, because that intention, that generous intention, is big enough to hold the whole damn thing.
Yes, and if the metaphor in it, I think, is to learn to become masterful of it, not controlling of it, but masterful of it. In the mastery of it, for it to become negative, to be put to darker uses, that's a choice. So it's to say, well, these things come with it. Well, they come with it in the same way that I have in me the choice. I could kick a dog as well, but those are not impulses that are running me.
No.
So the great work for me is to become aware now. I'm sufficiently aware of the restrictive, the darker parts of myself.
Yeah.
Not completely, but
But
more and more.
in service to where we're going.
Well,
Yes.
I'm only aware. I'm only aware of them in service to. I want to make space for them. I don't want to disown them. I don't want to pretend that they're not there. I want to love them, and in the owning of that, I am free to express the part of myself that is exponentially, endlessly, infinitely larger than that.
Yes.
And those, they don't have those tendencies. And then to work in synergies with other people. That's why I love doing the show with you. That's why I reference that kind of those partnerships that where we become conscious alchemists of all these other frequencies, and you start stirring them in.
Well, we're driven by the same generous intent. The space between us is clear enough. I mean, the waters get murky, they do, because, look, we get distracted, we get off track, you know. We start looking out in the world and seeing how well the strip show's doing, and we're only getting X number of views or listens or whatever the heck, and we go, wait a minute, what do we do, you know? And we go, no, trust it. Come back to the intention. It's strong enough to hold everything, and it's even strong enough to hold the shadow pieces. And that's the that's a big part of what makes it dimensional and soulful. One of the joys of what we've created is we get to bring that stuff in.
So what lies beyond the shadow pieces? And I am sure that there'll be some listeners who push back at that and who will say, let's just stick with the shadow pieces. And I'm not leaving the shadow pieces, but to include it and to what lies beyond the shadow pieces. So there's a lot of mystery that has to do with what is being held in shadowy ways in my subconscious and unconscious. Sure, but what about the glorious, promising, beautiful chaos? What lies beyond there? I don't think that's
a great question.
That's not mystery. That's mysticism.
Yeah.
And I am really drawn at this point to exploring the mystical experiences.
So I'll answer. Some of the qualities that I know lie beyond it are joy and fun and acceptance, and I don't know. I mean, there's a rich offer on the other side of. This is such a good point, because sometimes the struggle, as you were pointing out when Lisa was on, the struggle takes on a life of its own. The process takes on a life of its own. Like, are we over processing? We talked about this in the Wives show. Is that the passion and the compassion and the joy.
Fixing and the techniques and the techniques for fixing, and they're appropriate.
Yeah,
and then
but on the other side of that,
so you fixed it. Now, how do you know you fixed it?
Right.
What happens was, suddenly, the way we have held our relationship to the world and the ideas that we have about how the world works, these linear, the present is the result of the past, they begin to look a little bit like a Swiss cheese. There's suddenly these holes that defy logical explanation, that show up, these miraculous events that occur, these dreamlike turns of events and synchronicities that are wonder-filled.
Yeah.
And have nothing to do with the plodding sequence of reality as that we're comfortable with.
Right.
What happens if that really gets cut loose?
Yeah. I don't know.
I used to. I remember. I don't know who it was that wrote the distinction that there was like a razor's edge between a mystic and a madman.
Yeah.
And as someone who, can I admit this on air, that as someone in my youth experimented with mind-altering substances, and not to very good outcome, nightmarish experiences, I understand what happens when a centered consciousness becomes unhinged and goes off along the rails of an imagination that imagines itself. But to go down the road of an imagination that imagines itself with all my abilities to respond intact, with a sense of my character and intact, with an awareness of my darkness being held in the meta me, the bigger me that is loving, that is able to meet challenge and meet chaos. That's the big adventure. That's what I'm. Now we talked earlier.
There's a thin line between a genius and a fool. I mean, what we're talking about
only at the beginning.
Right. No, what you're saying right now is the ability to stretch out beyond the edge, as it were, the comfort zone, to go for things that are bigger and that are less held and more risky.
Only the line of falling over into becoming unhinged. Only at the beginning.
Yeah.
At the beginning, the roads they seem to be one road, and then very soon, or in the course of investigating and exploring, they begin to separate very narrowly and and eventually it's two worlds.
Yeah.
With that, I think we've come to the end of this world.
We're going to have to pick up this conversation because this is fantastic. But at the behest of time, we're going to say goodbye.
We will see you next time. Thank you for listening in. If you'd check us out on our Facebook page or on our YouTube page. But it's time to turn the page, so we'll see you next week.